Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler's WPblab, episode number 149. We're one more away from 150, Bridget. Today, we're talking about the pros and cons of business models in open source. I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you, and brought to me as well, by ServerPress, Beaver Builder, Kinsta, and Fat Dog Creatives. I do want to let you know that let's see, how do we put this? It would be our network sponsor is ServerPress, Maker's desktop server. They make local WordPress development easy. Go over to their website over at serverpress.com and go check them out. We would appreciate that. Also, I want to let you know about Beaver Builder. You can go over to Beaver Builder's website over at WPbeaverbuilder.com. And I want to let you know, I've been using Beaver Builder since the beginning. Chris Lima was the one that brought me to Beaver Builder, and it's all his fault now that I can build websites super duper fast. I'm one of those 1 million customers and 1 million sites that have been built by that thing. And I love Beaver Builder. It's great. If you want to go check it out, you can go over to WPbeaverbuilder.com and let them know that you were sent by us. We would appreciate that.
Clearly, desktop server needs to send me
yeah, you got all the branding, okay? Just like me.
No, it's not that. It's just so as a teacher, it's a show and tell. And I have swag.
World's greatest dad. Okay.
Greatest dad.
It's just a unnamed Beaver Builder logo.
Man, that's a marketing show. And they should come on here and we should come up with a good name for them.
Yeah, buddy.
Buddy. All right. Well, Bridget, you want to kick us off real quick and introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Bridget Willard. I'm a marketing consultant and a social media manager. Sometimes I put words on pages, even in a multi-site for my agency friends. You can find out more at bridgetwillard.com, see my tweets, learn about my dating life and my favorite yoga on YouTube. Can be Guru on Twitter.
Was it come for the yoga, stay for the dating content?
Oh my goodness. I swear I'm going to make a Google form. I'm so done. I'm done with all the apps. The apps are done.
Bridget's gonna be the only person I know that has an intake form for
there's going to be one. I have a Google Doc and I'm rewriting some of my rules.
That's awesome. Hey, I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog. And I do this show as well as another show called WPwatercooler. Today, we're going to be talking about building static websites using WordPress, which is going to be pretty awesome. So feel free to go take a look at that. That happens at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific, and we will see you there. So we've been thoroughly rude. Jason Coleman, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I am CEO of Stranger Studios and Paid Memberships Pro. Paid Memberships Pro is a membership plugin and platform for WordPress. I also co-authored the book Building Web Apps with WordPress, published by O'Reilly. And we just had a second revision or second edition pushed out recently. So you can get an update of that book. Awesome. Yeah. And I love talking business models in WordPress. Some of my early WordCamp talks were about GPL licensing and ways to make money with WordPress. And our membership plugin, is it's an e-commerce space itself. And so people use it to build SaaS websites and things like that. So we're constantly interacting with different business models. So I'm kind of passionate about it and I'm excited to talk about that stuff with y'all.
That's cool. No, we appreciate it. We appreciate your time of coming and hanging out with us. I haven't had the pleasure, the self-inflicting pain, depending on how you want to look at it, of having a full-blown successful web development company, or even building a really cool plugin like yours. How did you even begin into that of kind of starting into that whole realm of your life of kind of building a plugin and going from there?
Yeah, so my wife Kim has been with me in business since the beginning. And in 2006, I left the corporate world to, do freelance work with her. And it was general, websites for doctors, but also proof of concept apps in the Web 2.0 era. So we were building a bunch of apps. We built like a pretty popular wine website at some point. But then we moved into like WordPress. I started to use WordPress just for blogs and then use it for bigger and more powerful things, started building apps with WordPress. And I guess around 2010 or 12, We had built some pretty successful e-commerce sites using WordPress, but we didn't open source our e-commerce plugin. And so I saw at the time WP Commerce gaining success, and like 1 million people at that time were using it for their site, and they were making millions of dollars on that business, or that was my vision of it anyway. And I was like, no, we have like 6 really happy customers using our e-commerce plugin that was feature for feature better than WP Commerce at the time, but it wasn't available to everyone. I was just learning about open source software and the nature of all that. So I was like, oh, we kind of missed an opportunity because we were building this thing, but we weren't sharing it or building it in an open source way. So I thought there was an opportunity for membership software. Some people like it is e-commerce, but for a lot of use cases, it makes sense to have a dedicated membership plugin instead of, all the baggage that comes with something like WooCommerce now. So we started building that in like 2011, 2012. And like I said, we used it primarily to build our consulting company at the time. So we became the experts on membership sites, and we started only taking work for membership sites and started ignoring other work or giving it to, people we knew, sending them to other companies. And so we used that we started charging more. But when you're repeatable in your consulting business, it takes less time to do things, and there's more guarantee. Like when a customer comes to you, before we started focusing on membership sites, we built anything. And like almost every project was like, no one has ever done this with WordPress before, but I'm going to do it for you. Like, and so there's a lot of ambiguity, and there's a lot of risk in that. And you can't show the customer that like, hey, I've done this before. Like I've done other cool things, but not exactly this. So when we niched on membership sites, we could, and we could raise our prices. And then somewhere around 2015, we decided to try to shift and, from consulting the products, and that was fun.
So you started with a niche.
Yeah. I mean, we were doing other like general freelance development before 2010, but in 2010, 11, we started focusing on membership sites. Yeah. Yeah. So we knew like
that's amazing, because most people don't do that.
Oh, really? How you mean, like build the product first?
Oh, no, they just do whatever. And then like, I have this idea. Oh, I have this idea. I have this idea.
Yeah.
It's like ADD product development.
That's pretty much how every single one of those social media plugin plugins has came up, is because no one made the correct one. And so everyone was like, you know what? I need to build one of these things. They build it, and they're like, you know what? People would use this, so I'm going to use it. Yeah. And then they all find out the Facebook API sucks and Twitter API sucks and all that sort of thing. And they go like, forget it. I don't even want to maintain this thing anymore. But that's the reason why. Like those things are usually, it's like they have a utility piece that they've kind of built out. And then you reuse that utility piece. For you though, not every website is a membership site. Yeah. So that has to be hard, because you're like, I just built this really cool thing, but I'm over here building this other thing, like this website that can't use that plugin. Slowly but surely, did you feel that you wanted to have more of those customers that were going to be using your membership plugin? Like, was did that become more of a focus for you, or is it like, well, if they didn't use a plugin, then we'll use it on another project? Yeah, so I think there was a few questions in there, but we definitely, in our consulting business, we didn't always use our plugin if it made sense. I mean, sometimes we still tried to stay in the membership area, and we were building the plugin at the time, so it often would make sense. In general, I'm the kind, a lot of developers are this way. Like I'd rather build and control my own thing than use someone else's. Right. So we ended up using our own plugin a lot, but we would use other tools when it made sense. But definitely like membership sites are a niche. And I would get jealous of some more general purpose plugins that like every site needs this. And even, for example, we built like integration with MailChimp, and it worked like just with Paid Memberships Pro. And I was like, hey, this could work on any site that needs MailChimp. So I put some work to make it generic purpose. And it was really good, but like only PM Pro users were using it. And then a bunch of MailChimp plugins came out and got, 10 times the use of ours. And I was like, we missed an opportunity, because it was the same thing as WP Commerce. Like we did the work, this thing works, but like, what is different about, it's not just building code, it's marketing and finding the market and serving it. And, our plugin was called PM Pro MailChimp. And so, people assumed it wouldn't work, and we didn't, so there's more it's not just build it and people will come. You have to, build a sales funnel, market it. Yeah. Right. So how about pricing of this thing? So like you build this thing, you may build it for a customer, maybe you built it just for yourself, and now you're going to, sell this. how do you figure out what that pricing model is going to be? And are you going to do multi-tier? Are you going to have it to where it's a freemium model, or it's just like, no, you have to buy the whole thing from us? Can you talk a little bit about that and how you guys navigate those waters?
Yeah, so I could get like the history of how we've charged specifically our product. I knew from the beginning that it would have like the core plugin would be free. It was a marketing decision in the sense that there was only one other plugin in .org that had like a free membership component. And so there were some premium plugins in existence. And so like one, idea in marketing is not like, don't combat the big guys in the space that they're already winning. They're already doing paid marketing on Google and everywhere to get traffic, but no one was in the .org for free. So like we kind of did that little, jujitsu to get like, hey, no one's looking here. So we serve like people, there was no good free product. So now we're the best free plugin. So the core product was free. I also embraced the open source nature of the GPL license in the sense that not only should our code be free, it should be publicly free and available. And like, I'm proud of that. And there's a lot of WordPress sites at the time, and still they were technically GPL, but there was no like notice on their website. Like you couldn't find it. You'd have to, you know what I mean? Whereas like, hey, we're free. Here's my GitHub link, and even our premium add-ons, we put them all on GitHub. So we kind of embraced that. And so we were charging for support. So this is kind of a business model I recommend for a lot of people who already have the plugin and it's out there. They say like, I'm spending too much time supporting it. And the real easy switch you can do is just charge for support and figure out how many hours it takes per, customer. And so that's how much you have to charge for support. And there will be backlash, like whenever you charge, no matter where or what price point or where it is, people are going to be upset about it. So we basically started out charging for support, and it was $20 a month, I think, initially. And
not bad when the entire it's not bad when the entire thing is, your whole website's dependent on it. I hate it when they try to charge something like that, and like it's such a utility piece. It's so far away. It's only used every other page view or every 10th page view. It's like your product is literally used on every single page, or can potentially be used on every single page.
Yeah, it's a big part of your website. Even like people would do like those profilers of which plugins are using a lot of computing power, and people always come back and say, PM Pro's using a lot. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's like the e-commerce engine for your website. Like, it's hard to do. Like, I guess I get that not every, lay people don't understand what goes in the code. So I get like why they're confused, but like, yeah, like it's a big deal.
Well, not just that, but in the sense of what is the website owner doing with your plugin? Yeah. Oh, it's the entrance fee to Disneyland that costs $1,000 every time they walk in the park. Yeah, you could charge $20 for support or $100 a year, because the client is making money every month from their users. So it's having that. I mean, I love that. Like I know this is supposed to be about business models. We have freemium, charge only for support, only be free, only be premium. But it sounds to me like you didn't start with open source. You weren't a convert like I was. What like before you met Kim and you were in your profession, what was your training? What was your expertise? Because you're like in 20, you were doing apps in 2006.
Yeah. What was I doing before that? I spent a couple years working for Accenture doing business consulting, and it was like SAP business planning software.
Did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to college. I got an undergraduate degree in computer science from a liberal arts school that was very math focused. They weren't very, application focused. They were proud of the fact that they were teaching me archaic stuff that isn't actually in use anymore. And it was on us in our free time to actually learn, the useful stuff. And I did like website design back then. So like all the department websites and stuff for the school, I was involved in building that stuff.
Okay. So you always knew you wanted to make money.
Yeah. Money's a funny thing. Like when I was like in third grade, we started a newspaper, like underground kids in school, and we would charge like 25 cents a copy. We would go to the the library and 5 cents a
Gangster.
copy, make copies of the newspaper and sell it at school. And we got in trouble for that. They were like, you should write for the school newspaper. But we're like, you can't make money doing that,
No, we're a distributor.
Yeah.
We're not going to bottle Coors. We're going to ship it everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so this sounds a lot like Gary Vee and his lemonade stands.
Yeah.
He had one lemonade stand, and then he helped other people set up their lemonade stands. And he went around the neighborhood taking a cut. We call that franchising now.
Yeah. I mean, he's smart. He's very successful. Yeah. I like Gary. But it's true. Like I've seen that with other entrepreneurs that it's kind of always been there. I didn't realize until I got, I started getting that label as an entrepreneur because we had a business. But I was like, oh yeah, like what do you think about it? I've always been kind of preoccupied with like, how can I make money with something?
Because I would say maybe 60 to 40% of WordPress businesses are accidental businesses.
Right.
What they really enjoy is building the thing.
Yeah.
And then they're like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if I didn't have to work at anymore?
Yeah. I realized that like, because it's my personality, it didn't make sense to me for a while. Because when we started having success with Pay Memberships Pro, I was like, oh my God, I know the formula. And I would go to people like, I remember John Jacoby with BBPress and BuddyPress was like, your plugins are crazy popular. You could build a business just like ours to make money off it. And he's like, nah, he wasn't into it. And like, also people don't have Kim. I always, my wife, Kim, we were high school sweethearts. We've always been in business together. She has a business degree. And so,
okay.
Like
I knew somebody did.
Yeah. She does a lot of the accounting type stuff and I do a lot of the financial planning type stuff. And it's like a perfect mix. And so, not everyone has like a partner to lean on to do a lot of that stuff for them. And so I have to understand, but it's true. And a lot of freelancers move into products because like one skill they've learned potentially is how to sell something to a customer and then be responsible for delivering it. And that's one of those like little things that like not everyone has. So if you've never done that before, you've never sold consulting, you've never had a lemonade stand that you took seriously. If you never like sold knives, to make money in college or like, and sold learning how to sell anything and then like being comfortable with it, is like, it's kind of like it's a differentiator. Some people don't have that and they kind of, you need that to get into business. You have to be comfortable. Like I gave you something and now I'm responsible for it. And so not everyone's wired the same way, but if you are, then you can start a business. Yeah.
So starting out with that, how did you fund this whole thing? Getting started, getting enough money together to be able to make things happen. I'd imagine Kim spoke into that as well. How did you guys kind of work through that of figuring out how are you going to be able to essentially pay the bill while you're building this thing, or you needed a larger cash flow to kind of make things happen? Like, how did that end up happening?
Actually, I did a session on this at WordCamp Orlando last year. So I can find those notes and you can link to them. I don't know if you have show notes type things.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But so Kim is involved in finances and does the accounting. I do a lot of the budgeting and planning and stuff. And we definitely consciously would think about, like in the early days, it's kind of like you take any job you can. And it's like, hey, you want to do that? Sure. But if you're good quickly, you'll be full, right? And like you don't have any more time to do more work, so you can't just do more to make more money. And at that point, I started, I love spreadsheets, so using spreadsheets to just model like what is our actual business like. Like we charge about this, we have about this many projects, about this many customers per year, and we make about this much. And you could look at a spreadsheet and then be like, this is how much money we're going to make at the end of the year if everything's the same. And then you can what I would do is like have a goal. And we've always almost from the beginning been like, hey, we want to grow about 20-25% per year. What do we have to do? And is it, in the spreadsheet makes it easy to be like, if we had more customers, if we increased our rates, what impact would that have? And so the spreadsheet very like visibly tells you kind of like the knobs you can turn to make money. And then you can come up with an actual plan to be like, all right, well, this is our plan. We're going to increase our rates. What does that mean? How do you do that? And it's not easy. You got to think about it. And so that kind of thing we started in the consulting world. And definitely when we moved to products, there was like a weird overlap when we were making like really good money, you know, around $200,000 a year or more doing consulting. And the paid memberships pro plugin was a side project. And we kind of did in our free time, so we didn't think about it. But then it started when we started doing support, even for $20 a month for the people we're taking on. We realized like, you know, we were charging $150 to $200 an hour for consulting stuff, and like we weren't getting that much for doing support. So like anytime we did support, we were losing money in a sense.
So agency work funded the product.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I mean, you didn't know if you're a trust fund baby, which not a big deal. I'm fine with it. You mortgage the equity out of your home. You know, you just like, that's what we're trying to.
That's basically how we did it.
So you figured out with the spreadsheet how much you needed. I love that so hard because I also have a Google sheet. And then you're like, okay, what can we do? And then you knew how much money you needed. Did you like in the business? Did you go, okay, we're making a healthy income here. We're losing a little bit here. Did you have that kind of like a child? Okay, the child is growing up, you know, you need to leave the house. And I don't know what is wrong with my generation letting their 26-year-old kids live at home still.
Yeah.
Get them the F out, okay?
But
anyway, that's another broadcast and a totally different podcast. Okay, but here's the thing, like, did you go, okay, so we're going to do this over time, and we're going to wean this kid off so that it has to be on its own by this date?
Yeah, in a sense, like coming to terms happened around 2015, where it was kind of like our consulting income was going down, but it was still more than we needed. We also had like a personal budget. This is how much we need to live.
Sure.
And anything extra went into the business, but that was slowly going down, and PM Pro was slowly going up. So we kind of had this moment where we're like, hey, we really have to dive in 100%. And I've seen that, like we've always done a lot of different things inside projects and try to see what sticks, but definitely like whenever you go 100% on something, like something changes. When your bathroom time is spent thinking about the project and like your dreaming time is spent and you're 100% focused on something, it really it accelerates how fast it can go.
Yeah.
So in 2015, we had like a 3-month period where we said, like, we're going to take on no new projects. So any work that comes in, we're going to say no to. And at that time it was, you know, around like we were saying no to like $25,000, $50,000, $30,000 deals. In our mind, I knew it was a kind of like, you know, potentially like $60,000 to $90,000 investment to just turn off the consulting for 3 months. And we focused on Paid Memberships Pro. And we did 2 things. So we basically like asked for money twice as often, and we doubled our prices like in that moment too. So by that point we kind of skipped over it, but we dropped the monthly really quick. I can go into why. And we went to an annual plan. And I think at that time we raised our rates from like $100 a year to $200 a year. And that maybe it was different. It was a while ago, but I remember we doubled whatever we were asking for. And then we also doubled the number of times we asked for money. So like just on our website, if you would go to a premium add-on, we used to just let you download it. And then we're like, hey, like you should be a PM Pro Plus member to download this. And you still technically could find it for free on GitHub. And if you asked, we would give it to you for free. But just people on our website didn't know any better. They would, you know, they want to buy, like, you know. And so we did that. And we had built up so much clout, I think, over the years and had a good product that when we made that switch, there was like no change. It just worked. We just, you know, tripled our income. Like that, no one blinked about the price and no one blinked about signing up when they didn't used to have to. And our revenue just went up. And that was enough to make up for the investment we did. And we were like, hey, now we can go full time on PM Pro. That happened around 2015.
So how many years was that? And did you not grandfather people in? Did you charge existing?
It was, so we launched technically at the end of 2011, the membership plugin, like publicly, and started taking money. Yeah. So, well, yeah, like 4 years. 3 years. So it was 2012. And then we grandfathered people in at every point. So we still have people paying $47 a year. It must have been from 47 to 97 was the double. And we doubled late. We're at $297 now. So we've been increasing our price since.
Right.
But we still have people paying $47 a year for it. And that's fine. I always say to people, it's different for different businesses, like where you're at. But a lot of times people focus on their current customers rather than their future customers. And if you're early in business, I don't know what we had at the time, but it's like if we had like 1,000 customers paying $47 a year, some just say, but we're going after, you know, more than that. We want to have 5,000 customers paying 100. You know, we're going after more. So like if we're trying to weasel every last cent out of our existing customers, you know, we're going to waste time. Whereas like we should go after the people who want to, you know, we're still going after new people. Now, later on, that becomes more important as your business gets more mature. And what's interesting is all the thought leaders that we listen to, a lot of them have mature businesses. So they're very worried about churn. They're very worried about retention because they've kind of, their business has plateaued in a sense, potentially, but they have so many existing customers that, you know, lowering their cancellation rates and their churn is more important than grabbing new customers. And that just happens to be the, you know, point of business they're at. But most people who are starting out, sometimes I see people getting caught up on, you know, grandfathering in existing people. And we could do it because it didn't actually cost extra to support these people. If they've been with us for a couple of years, they're not actually asking for support that often.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and that's usually what the first like couple months of them purchasing, that they're going to be essentially the problem child, that they're just like, I don't know how to use this thing. How do I make this thing work? Or, you know, or they just start asking questions. So, and you come to find out, actually, you should have bought this more expensive add-on package. And all these additional things are in here. Oh, you wanted to use Stripe. Oh, it's this. Oh, you wanted to use PayPal. Oh, it's that. And you get those sorts of things. It sounds like to me that, and this goes into a question that Travis asked, but it sounds like you wouldn't have changed a whole lot of the grandfathering inside of things, but what would you change if you could go back and kind of change that?
Wow, yeah.
Like business model.
I mean, it seems like you were intentional and everything that you planned worked, and you didn't have a lot of points of failure.
No, and I'm pretty proud of the fact that like a lot of some other WordPress plugin businesses are they're coming around to, you know, our business model in a sense, and some of the decisions we made. Did I regret anything? Well, maybe early on, one thing we did early on, and this is useful for plugin businesses, I think, is we had a do it for me plan, or it was like a product you could buy. So it was at various prices, but for like $500, we would spend 5 hours like actually implementing something for you. And it was almost anything that we could build in 5 hours. And a lot of those became add-ons that we have now. So it's like, and that's the nature of our work. And I still embrace this part of our platform, is that it's developer friendly, it's flexible, and you can do anything. We really want to support like any kind of membership site and expect you to have a developer. But what happened, fast forward a bunch of years, we now have 90 add-ons and more gists doing all kinds of crazy stuff with PayMemberships Pro. And our
90?
footprint,
I didn't even know you could do that much with membership sites. I thought it was just basically a key.
So, it's like every integration with every third party, whatever, you know, is the plugin. So now our technical footprint is really wide, and whenever we make a change, we have to support all those, make sure that we can. You know, it makes it so like it's hard to. We're not as nimble as we could be if we had a smaller footprint that way. So I kind of regret it a little bit. I was conscious at the time that's what I was doing, but maybe I should have put a little more thought into, you know, worrying about that early on. It
sounds like you ended up doing just fine though. So
we're doing it.
I'm like seriously impressed, to the point where I feel like you should be mentoring people like the Chris Do does.
Okay. Yeah.
I know people's Twitter handles.
Okay.
So like, I love Chris Do. I've loved him since he was at WordCamp LA in 2015. He's up here in Santa Monica. He's a designer, and he has all these videos and neat little Instagram things that flip about charging more and all this stuff, right? And so he has a mentoring group, and you can join it for $199 a month.
Yeah.
A month. I'm like, I'll mentor you guys for $199 a month. I won't even build a membership price. My email is right. Okay. So like, but like, this is what needs to happen in the WordPress community, because if we, what happens is it feels like as we grow, this is why I'm so worried about us. As we grow like this and people don't adopt this, I'm worth, this is what it costs for me to breathe oxygen on this planet and live in this apartment. Okay. I know what my nut is, but not everybody does. And if you don't know what a nut is, it's your overhead cost. Right. It's not a sexual term. It's an accounting term. So so I know what it is. And so at nighttime, I'm like, oh yeah, I could buy a house if I just had one extra Twitter Pro client a month and ran all that money away. The next year I could put a down payment on a house. And then it seems achievable because that's the way I think now. But I used to be an office manager and I used to do accounts receivable and collections, right? So my thing is, let's learn from construction instead of learning from Drupal or Joomla or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, what if we are all charging? Think about it. If we charge too less, if we don't charge enough for our websites, then we don't want to pay for Beaver Builder. That's only $100 a year. Give me a break. And we don't. I made more than $100 a year from my website using Beaver Builder. And it's not a membership site. And we don't want to pay for Yoast. It's only $70-something still. Michelle, raise that price. And then we don't want to pay for some other thing for $39. Like I was literally going to buy something yesterday for $39 so that people could just pay for it right then. And then we don't want to pay for hosting. Oh my God, it's $25 a month. I used to listen, I spent more on bourbon. I know, I just went through my profit and loss. And then we don't want to pay for it. But if we charge what we're supposed to be charging, then who cares if something's $100? That really needs to go to 117. And this one needs to go to 97. And this one needs to go, like, why can't we all be in cahoots together as agencies and plugin developers to charge more for our work so that we can buy our own health insurance so that we don't have to have GoFundMe fundraisers all the time when everything happens to us. I mean, we collectively, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying this is what we have to do because none of us are making enough money. Because the majority of us are not charging enough. That's my soapbox, and I ran over the Kinsta time.
That's all right. That's all right, Bridget.
I'll show the book to make up for it. Sorry, Tom. Hey, congratulations on your promotion. I think they're still looking for an employee to do their social media too.
Well, Bridget, you mentioned the word being in cahoots, and I don't know if that's a good term to use for this, but I'll kind of go with it, I guess, as a segue. But if you're tired of unreliable or slow hosting, check out Kinsta.com, who makes managed WordPress hosting easy and essentially up to the next level. Powered by Google Cloud, all their plans include PHP 7.4, SSH access for developers, one-click staging area, 20 global data centers, free SSL, free CDN, 24/7 expert support who will also migrate your website free of charge. Go over to their website over at demo.kinsta.com where you can check out their new dashboard. They just redesigned it. It's actually pretty nice. And when you go through a good hosting company, you want to find a good hosting company that has a good dashboard. You're going to be interacting with it quite a bit. And Kinsta.com. Thank you very much, Kinsta, for helping us out. Jason, I wanted to bring up something that happened a couple years back, and it had to do with my daughter and your wife. My daughter went out to Nashville with me to go interview a whole bunch of women in tech.
Oh, cool.
And
I remember.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
it was really cool to see to see my daughter asking people questions about how did you start in WordPress? How did you start running a business? How did you start kind of doing any of this stuff? And so it was neat. We just kind of walked around and set up a camera and said, hey, let's start asking questions. And so my daughter kind of worked out a couple questions and went around and started asking a whole bunch of people, some really cool questions and getting some really neat answers. I don't really have a question behind it. It was just really neat to have my daughter kind of interacting with, our community. And so one of the questions I had for you regarding this is, how do you guys interact with your local community? Like, what are you guys doing? Because looking at the comments here that we're getting, I have some folks here saying that you guys do great in your community and you give back to your community. How are you guys involved in it?
Yeah, so in numerous ways. Kim right now is finishing up some work on a gala fundraiser for the school that our kids go to. It's a Montessori school.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's tomorrow. It's It's gonna be a good time. So, gathering all the stuff to be auctioned off and making sure everything works good and the wealthy donors show up and are ready to bid on things. So she's like an awesome operator. She I think Kim is trying to figure out in her life, like, what's meaningful to her. People give her tasks. I've been doing that in business. I'm like, I want to do this, go figure it out how to do it, kind of like, and she's like, cool, I can do that. And she like executes like really well. But I think in phase in life now, she's kind of like, I do these awesome things, but it's kind of just like what, I'm doing stuff for other people.
Right.
Which is okay, but it's like, it's what other people are asking. So yeah, we do that. Helped her school. I'm on the board of the school. I got involved on the board of the alumni association for the city high school that we went to here, which raises money and then gives donations, gives scholarships to students who are graduating and stuff like that. It's a cool scholarship. I remember it when I graduated too. I got it. It's like just cash money. I think now it's like per student, it's like $1,500, and it's like, this is not to your school. It's like, this is a check to you. And I remember when I got that actually when I was in high school too. And I was like, that was a good one. So yeah, we're getting involved that way.
That's cool. I recommend it highly for people that are running their own businesses and stuff, because it kind of gives you an opportunity to see how other people do what they do. And it's not just about sales and not just about marketing, but it's also about like how you interact with the people that are interacting with your organization. And when you're someone who sits at home and kind of works from home or works in an office, maybe you're running the entire thing. Maybe you're just one of the lowest peons in the entire organization. Being on one of those boards or being involved in something like that is I think it's a very rewarding process, and it also just kind of gives you a good sense of how someone is actually doing what they're doing in those organizations. And those are probably potential clients, maybe not the one that you're working with directly, but you're going to understand more about how those companies work. Have you had any of that crossover where the stuff that you're doing is a membership and you're like, well, I make this plugin that does,
definitely
it manages membership, and there's an overlap there.
Yeah. The alumni association, I just got pulled in because I saw like an old teacher at a bookstore when I was working there. And he's like, hey, they need young people. They have like older people on the board. And I was like, sure, I'll help out. And then like, obviously kind of one of the things they need is like, we have no web presence, nothing. And so I built a membership site that accepts donations for them. And it took a while to find a time for it. I'm starting to carve out like a day every week to focus on some of these like non-business things. But it was a learning experience for me because we build the software, we support it, we fix things as they come up. But I whenever I build a WordPress site too, I'm like, this is really hard actually. Like, I'm like, I wrote a book about this and I still struggle with like a random setting that I forgot is super important to whatever I'm trying to do. So I learned some things as I was setting up that membership site and donation site for them. I was like, oh, this is tricky. Like they have older people without email addresses that are getting imported. How do you handle that? And it's really important that they gather this information that I wasn't thinking about. So I took back, and I knew that when we started, I was like, oh, I'm going to learn. And so I learned, I took that back into our product, into improvements we can make. And similar on the school board, one of the eye-opening things for me is it's a private school, and like teachers in general don't get paid as well as they should. And so it's like I'm involved in some of the salary negotiations and talking and how to budgeting for the school as a business owner. I'm helping out that way, but it's like it's kind of wild to see the teachers who are teaching my kids getting paid so little. Like in the tech space, I'm generally paying people better, and so it's like wild to me.
That's why
like
my student loan isn't for what I went to school for, Jason, which is to be a teacher.
Okay, yeah, it's tough.
It's tough.
So we're trying.
And parents, I hate them, but that's fine.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine.
There's a lot of parents. So there's a question from Chris at Lifter LMS.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
He said, question for Jason. What are PM Pro lessons and tips learned with your freemium model experience? What have you learned from the freemium model?
What have I learned? yeah, what have I learned? I guess that it's possible, even like that you. So what? Like, oh, in the WordPress space, like everything is free, right? Or they start off, they get. This is the perspective of the customer. Is like, I get all of WordPress for free. I get my first year hosting for free through GoDaddy, probably, or Kinsta. I don't know. They get it really cheap. This whole thing, the paid memberships pro, the plugin is free. I built everything, and all I need is like the last one little thing, and then they hit our paywall, and it's like $297. And so their perspective is, I did all this for free, and you're charging me $297 for this. And my perspective on the other side as a business is like, no, like I've spent $1 million building a plugin, and I give it to you for free, and we ask you for money at this point. And there's kind of a Robin Hood thing, like we charge people who can afford it. So I'm proud that most of the people using the software don't pay for it. Like that's part of how it works. And like, but there's people out there who can, and we get them. So it's kind of like, so to turn those into tips is one that, don't be afraid to charge because people are going to be upset, and like figure out like the point to charge that makes sense for your business and how it works. People are always going to be upset, and you kind of have to learn how to deal with that as a business. And then the other part of that is that kind of Robin Hood model of, charge to people who can afford, a lot of people will just come and pay and be happy. And those are the customers you should go after, and don't get too caught up in the people who don't want to pay. And having ways to kind of appease them and get out of the conversation is good. So we have a discount code that I think it's like $50 off. So if you email and say, do you have a discount for whatever, we have one code that we give that's like $50 off. And sometimes that's enough. It's like, oh, they're doing something. Sometimes it's not enough. If you're from a third world country and can't afford $297, like you're not going to pay. But also being able to point them to our GitHub repos where everything's absolutely free, and to the .org support where we now can do some free help. Like we can give you some, like, so it kind of like diffuses the tension a little bit. To have like an alternative that we can send them to that's still free for them, as long as we don't, go ahead.
It's kind of funny you're talking about this means testing. You call it Robin Hood. I call it means testing.
Sure.
But I wonder if it might be a good idea, not for you specifically, but sure. What do you think about this, Tucker, that like businesses having, an application that says, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. Not that you're a nonprofit, but you're a startup. Yeah, this is my projected income in the first and second and third years. And then maybe going in a negotiation situation, which is, well, we'll let you have it for $50 this year, but next year your income is going to be this amount. Will you charge us 10%? No. Oh, okay. Well, then let's have the $297.
Yeah.
We do that model at the church I work at. So the church I work at, the software that we use to manage the church is based on the number of congregants that you have at the church. And you have to actually show your books, not your money books, but like, all of your membership and stuff, and kind of say like, here's how many people I have. So if your church is super small and you got like 100 people showing up to the church, then you're paying this amount for it. And it's almost like paying per seat, but it's paying per, because they're kind of figuring out like how much interaction is going to happen on the software, because it's a SaaS model. So it's like, how much interaction is there going to be? And because of that interactions cost more money because it's more CPU, it's more bandwidth, it's all that fun stuff. So yeah, I mean, a model like that might actually work out pretty good. For working as a 501c3 nonprofit, we have to submit those sorts of things to companies where we say, hey, I'm looking for a donation. I'm wondering if I can get your software for this amount, and then they'll give me that software for this amount. Like for instance, I'll get Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office Suite, the entire thing for $25, because there's a company that I can go through to ask for that, and they'll be the broker who will get the donation from Microsoft and then give it to us on behalf of Microsoft. So there are ways of kind of doing that, and I haven't seen a whole lot of WordPress plugins do that, but TechSoup is the company that we go through for doing that, and TechSoup's pretty awesome for that, because they'll help you out quite a bit when it comes to nonprofit work. But
One thing
Yeah, I mean,
oh,
for Jason Coleman to do something like this, it might require a little bit more, or even any of your competitors or anybody like that. It might take a little bit of extra work to kind of make happen, but you may end up getting a lifelong customer out of it too. So
yeah,
I don't know.
One thing that's kind of related that we do is most people are using the core plugin for free, and a lot of our premium add-ons are add-ons that work on successful websites to make them even more money. And so specifically, we have a site-wide sales plugin that, it creates a one-page setting screen where you can set up a Black Friday sale. And if you're already making, like $1,000 a month, $10,000 a month with Paid Memberships Pro, usually people who run a successful Black Friday sale will make about, like 25 to 50% of their monthly revenue over that weekend. And so that's a really awesome pitch that we can give, is like, and we've actually developed some ways to, opt into sharing that data so that we can pitch them even more aggressively. If we know that you're making money, and you're not a customer, you should set up a Black Friday sale. You'll probably make $10,000. So pay me $300 to get the software. And so some of our developmental effort has been towards like, let's take these successful websites and figure out like what value adds can we give to them to get them to pay. That's kind of in that vein of like, they get it for free, and then when they become successful, then you get paid. And so we've always imagined that we support the platform and it's going to be successful. And then what are the business opportunities on top of it? That's kind of like how WordPress itself has grown.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to mimic that within the membership niche.
That's great. I love that you're already thinking of it that way. So that was a good tip for those of you who want. That was a free tip. This whole show is free. Well, our sponsors help us pay for it. Thank you to this week's tool or tip of the week sponsor, Fat Dog Creatives. If you're a service-based business serious about growth, Rhonda Nygaard is your rebranding and web design thinker, a strategic design specialist. Check out our website at fatdogcreatives.com, fatdogcreatives.com. She does all of my design work. Anything that looks good was done by fatdogcreatives.com. Everything that's not, it's me in canva.com. So,
well, and Bridget, before you jump in, I do want to let you know that this right down here was not designed by her. And so hopefully when she sees this, she'll send me a better design.
She's one of my favorite people on the planet. So this week, my tip is a health related tip. So I'm one of those kinds of people. If it's easy, I'll do it. You can call it laziness, or I like easy wins, low hanging fruit, whatever. But also, I'm one of the people who has chronic illness. And so exercise is a big challenge. So one of the things I really found helpful to me, especially after last year's surgery, was Sarah Beth Yoga. She has a channel on YouTube, and she has it broken down by either what you want to do, and she has playlists based upon time. So my friend Carol Steven always says, you can do anything for 15 minutes. Well, I started with 10. Like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes bedtime, 10 minutes nighttime. There's stretching yoga. There's get your heart going. There's hips, blah, 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 focused on body parts, digestion, whatever. I mean, yoga people have so many things going on. There's twisting, turning, whatever. And then there's 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute, 45 minutes. And then she has also something, she does fremium. She has a membership site you can join at sarahbethyoga.com. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm at 20 minutes. That's all I can say. I'm super excited that I'm at 20 minutes. And it does help me at night, actually, because I would do it in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then I'm not really that smart anymore. And it's not good when you're, going into websites writing about roofs and whatnot. To be so tired that your brain doesn't work. But at night, it's just helping me sleep a lot better. And I feel stronger. It was funny because today I was making my coffee. And one of the things they tell you in yoga is like when you do the downward dog or any of those planks, they say, don't just use your palms. So a lot of times we just use our heels and our palms. Like we don't use all of what's given to us as far as muscles. And that's one of the reasons why I want to do yoga is for balance. So she'll tell you, use all of your fingertips. Make sure that your whole hand, all your toes are are on this, and that your whole weight is distributed that way. And so I was in the kitchen, I was just standing there, and I noticed my toes were gripping, because normally my toes just barely don't even really touch, because I'm like using, the ball of my foot and my heel. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, I feel so balanced. And I look down, I'm like, my toes are gripping. So it's become like a subconscious part of my being, because I'm going to be 47 this year, which is 13 years away from being 60.
That's one way to think about it.
No.
Yeah.
Show the countdown clock going.
No, seriously, like I'm a weird person. I love prime numbers. I'm super excited to be 47, but also in 13 years,
13
if I'm
also
not
prime,
married,
right?
I could collect my husband's Social Security, my late husband's
Right.
Social Security. That's not that far away.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching Casino Royale with what's his name? Daniel Craig, 2006. That was 14 years ago. It doesn't even seem like 14 years. So from then to now is from there to me being 61.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's be serious here. And all of us sit at our desks way too much. So if you want to do some free yoga and you want to just dip your toes into it, 10 minutes, sarahbethyoga.com, and do it on YouTube. That was a long tip.
That's all right.
Nice.
We got 10 minutes. 10
Okay.
minutes. Jason Coleman, you have 5 minutes to tell us some stuff. How about that?
Sure. So one tip I have is the distributor plugin by 10up. And so what that does is it allows you to push and pull posts between separate WordPress sites, not just on multi-site, any WordPress sites. And so I've been looking for a reason to use this for a while, because I did some, I've had a bunch of blogs. I had the Wine blog, I had Investor Geeks, I had The Real Jason Coleman, where I blog personal stuff, Stranger Studios and Paid Memberships Pro, a bunch of different blogs. And I wanted The Real Jason Coleman, my personal blog, to kind of have everything. So this came out a few years ago, and I only blogged on Paid Memberships Pro. It was like my full focus was on that company, and I didn't do anything else. Lately, like I said, I've been taking a day off a week to do other things, and I'm getting into writing more, writing about my business on therealjasoncoleman.com. And so I set up the distributor plugin on the investing blog I have, so that when I post there, it'll push to The Real Jason Coleman. And when I post on Paid Memberships Pro, it's going to push to The Real Jason Coleman. And basically, The Real Jason Coleman will become a feed of everything I'm writing across the internet. And the distributor plugin is really smart. I'm actually excited to dig into the code to see if they need help on anything. But so far, it's been working like as expected. They do the things behind the scenes to make sure that the post that gets pushed doesn't get out of sync. Like you can't edit it on the site that it was pushed to. And it sets up the quote unquote like canonical URL, which is SEO speak for like, this is the actual,
the original post.
Yeah, the original version of the post. So they do all that kind of behind the scenes for you. And it just makes therealjasoncoleman.com is going to be a feed of everything I write, no matter where I write it, which is pretty cool.
Oh my God. I have a coach who needs this yesterday.
Okay, cool.
That's pretty neat. I mean, I've used similar techniques of being able to like pull in via RSS, but what stinks about that is you don't get any of the updates. You're only getting that one push, and that's it. So for this to kind of talk back and forth,
it'll create categories on the fly if like you don't have the category yet. And I'm trying to figure out how to sync them, and it's really smooth. It's nice.
That's
so
nice.
Syndicate yourself with the distributor plugin.
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, I'm gonna send an email when the show's over.
Yeah, you should tell them. Say, like, hey, let's give this a shot.
WordPress
See how it works.
people, I mean, it's good for her, but you know what our WordPress people are always doing? Setting up a site for every single part they make.
Yeah.
And then making their job that many times more difficult. They have that many more blogs to write, that many more social accounts to deal with, that many more websites to deal with. It should be one website to rule them all. And they always say, but they're totally different. And then I say this, Amazon.
Yeah.
They literally sell everything and anything, and it's all tied under the same, roof. Yeah. True. I mean, geez, they even power the whole internet off of their platform that they run their own platform on. So yeah.
Just because you
Smart
can
folks
build a
over there.
website doesn't mean you should.
Right. Hey, you know, Bridget, just a couple days ago, or was it yesterday, that I was trying to get you to build a whole new website when we essentially just landed on you just having that thing run on your website itself.
I know, but only because the domain wasn't available. I'm like, I'm not going to
That's
talk to you
true.
about this.
Once you get a new domain.
Yeah, and that one was fun because for Bridget, it was like we were trying to figure out how to get Bridget to become essentially become a computer. And so what we were like, you know, we'll make Bridget be Hey Bridget. So you just say Hey Bridget, and then you tell her what you want to do, and then she'll go do it. And so we turned her into a dictation service where you just dictate into Siri what you want to say into the little box that's on her site, and then she'll turn it into an actual blog post. So we turned her into like a Mechanical Turk, which was pretty sweet. So, so yeah, if you want to do that, you can go over to bridgetwiller.com/heybridget, and you could go fill out that form just by talking with your voice. It's pretty cool.
That sounds fun. I'm gonna check that out.
It is fun. She'll write you a blog post just off of a couple words that you say into this box. You can type them in too if you want, but it's just it was one of those things where we could kind of make that happen.
We were just having fun.
We were having fun as usual.
What's your tip,
So
Jason Tucker?
Yeah, I'll tell you about mine. So I don't have little teeny kids anymore, but if you do have little kids and they like looking at photos of themselves or photos of the family or anything, you know, you have your kid grab your phone and then they go and run off and want to just look at stuff. There's a there's a app that came out not too long ago called PicaView. And it's for the iPhone. And what PicaView does, and I'm going to show you on the screen here, is what PicaView does is it makes it so that you can give your phone to your kid, and then the kid can see their photos, but they can't get out of this.
That's good.
Nice. Yeah.
So you can go up in the corner here, and you can tell it, like, I don't even have it fully unlocked, but you could tell it, like, can they zoom and pinch and zoom? Can they do motion stuff? And does it fully lock them out or not? And the locking them out, you can turn on a feature that's built in the iPhone where it will do a single app mode that will just run on your phone. So you can just turn that on real quick, then put the kid into here, and now the kid can kind of, you know, look at all the photos that they have of, you know, themselves or whatever else. But yeah, nice. That's PicaView, and they talked about it for it was all over the internet. I mean, this thing was being talked about everywhere. This is over on 9to5mac.com, where they were kind of discussing how how this app actually works, and being able to just kind of essentially lock the kid into just that one section. They're talking about down here using guided access, which is the technology that's built into the iPhone, where you can just kind of lock the kid into just that section. It's also nice if you wanted to hand your phone to someone who wanted to look at some photos, and instead of them, like, you know, you tell people like, hey, you can only swipe to the right, don't swipe to the left, because you may get into stuff that, for me, it'd just be a bunch of screenshots. I mean, I'd say about 80% of my photos on my phone are just screenshots, but being able to just kind of lock them into a specific thing, or if you have a client that you're going to be presenting a website to, and you took a bunch of screenshots and you're in person with them and you have an iPad and you want to show them this thing works perfect for that. Throw all those into one album, lock it into that album, and then when you walk into that meeting, you can essentially just hand them that, and they'll be able to swipe through all the photos and then not see any of your other clients' work or anything like that. So yeah, super awesome. It's only a couple bucks if I remember. I think it was $5 if you wanted the unlimited viewing thing. If not, then you're restricted down to the 20 most photos, which is what mine was showing, just the 20 most photos, because literally I have tens of thousands of photos of that girl on my phone. So
that girl being your daughter, just
my daughter. Yep.
just in case you just now started listening.
No, I showed her earlier. She was talking to.
No,
Jason
I mean,
Coleman's
just for it, if anybody just now started seeing this broadcast live.
True, I guess so. But yeah, go take a look at that. It's a pretty awesome little app, and it's for $5 if you want to have unlimited. If you have less than 20 photos, then it's going to work for you for free. That's about it. Jason, I want to say thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. If you like the stuff that we're doing here, we appreciate it. Go over to our website over at WPwatercooler.com, where you can learn how to subscribe to our product or different stuff here. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on any place that you can find podcasts. And we record 2 times on Fridays, both at 9 a.m. as well as 11 a.m. Pacific. And that's on Fridays. So feel free to go take a look at us over there. If you're a customer of Bridget's or a fan of Bridget's and you're following her on her Facebook, we stream this to her Facebook. So we even had those folks popping in here saying hi and such. So yeah, feel free to go follow us at all those places. Jason, where people can find you? Where should the people go and interact with you or find you online?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Jason_Coleman. And like I said, I'm trying to blog more often at therealjasoncoleman.com. And all my blog posts are going to be aggregated onto that. So if you want to see more of my rambling about business or Tesla stock or Bitcoin or whatever, it's going to be over there. So
That's awesome.
Hey, thank you very much for being on. We appreciate it. Bridget,
thank you.
Thanks as always for coming and hanging out with me.
Love it.
Awesome. Talk to y'all later. You have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye.